Hello, happy weekday. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been a crazy end of summer for me. I could not be more excited about today's interview. I sat down with Anna Silva probably months ago, let's say 4 months ago, and she has totally blown up. They have a new vehicle, so many things. So let me start by saying, so I, during my busy travels, don't get to go to very many events in Austin, and I landed to go see a friend of mine's new launch of their business, and I walk in and here is the cutest thing I have ever seen. It is a tiny two-door truck that has shelves on the back, that has champagne flowing like crazy, and these beautiful copper growlers. And I was like, who are you? How long have you been doing this? I've never seen this before. So that is where Anna Silva and her business partner and sister-in-law, which you'll hear a little bit about, launched this business about a year ago, I think, and they have totally blown up, and they just got another truck, a Lambretta, but you are not gonna wanna miss their story. They have used the Champagne Supply Company as a side hustle, and they have totally scaled. They have not waited on anything. They have let their heart lead them, and I am so excited for you to listen to their story and hear about their business concept. So don't wait any longer, go check it out.
East side to the west side, pushing fat rides, it's no surprise. She got tricks in the stash, stacking up the cash. Fast when it comes to
Cheers, I'm so glad that we got to do this.
Me too. Thank you for inviting me to where you grew up a little bit.
Of course.
Pretty much.
Yeah, my whole life.
This is beautiful. And we're in your family's garden, which is now a bed and breakfast.
Yes.
And we're in Dripping Springs, Texas.
Yes. Yes.
And you store your little champagne truck here.
Yes.
So that you can access it.
Access it, have a lot more space. We do a lot of our styled shoots over here. And we get to play, with the truck and set it up in the garden. Yeah.
And did you harvest some of these florals around here?
Yes. So actually all the honeysuckle is from, there's a big honeysuckle vine right over there on the other side of the garden. So we got that, and yeah, some of the flowers my mom does grow, like those purple ones are kind of similar to the ones back there, but I didn't want to take all of them, so I bought them.
Well, thank you for having me here and talking a little bit about the Champagne Supply Company.
Of course, I'm excited.
So tell me about the early beginnings.
Okay, so basically, Gabrielle and I really wanted to start a business. Our number one goal in starting business together was to kind of go past and make false some stereotypes, like family should never go into business. So Gabrielle is my sister-in-law. And when we had this idea, we kind of had this idea first, and then when it came down to it and we were talking through things, it was one of those, okay, if we're gonna do this, these are the two things that we're really going to be up against, because we are friends and we are family and we are women. And those are going to be the three things that are going to be the biggest challenges. And so we walked in really knowing that was going to be in our face, and that a lot of people were going to make sure that we knew it too. Like, don't you know family should never go into business? And so before we even moved forward with any sort of planning, we had that conversation and committed to each other that was never going to come between us, and that if this business ever did, that we would stop. That this business wasn't as important as keeping our relationship together. But the concept is inspired by a little Italian food vendor truck in Italy. So if you've traveled to Europe, the streets are much smaller.
Tiny.
So tiny. It's so terrifying driving real cars down those streets these days. But in the 50s and 60s and 70s, the cars were much smaller, and there is a vehicle called the Piaggio that is a little three-wheeled buggy that has a little band covering.
Yeah.
It is a three-wheel buggy. This is our American version of it, because it's called a Cushman. But yeah, so there are a couple of companies, actually there are a number of companies in Europe right now that have restored these Piaggios that in the 50s and 60s were used as delivery trucks.
Okay.
And they have built them out to service champagne.
So did you see a photo of one and you're like, that's it? This
Yes.
brings everything together.
Actually, yes. It was kind
We
of one
love
of those.
champagne, and these are darling.
Yes, it was the best of both worlds.
Well, I know from the first time I saw it, I was like, I have never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
I need to know these girls. This is so cute,
Yeah.
and will be such an impact for
Yeah.
not only the Texas Hill Country area, but I feel like you're definitely starting something.
And we're excited, and it's so the build out of the Ape Piaggio is a little bit more covered, and it actually has a real tap system. This inspiration behind the inspiration is it has a real tap that comes out of the
And
side of
currently
the
you
truck
have like a tap.
in a growler. We don't put champagne in there, like traditional
But you do
champagne.
offer some mixed cocktails as part
We
of
do.
your, which
We
we'll
do
talk
a
about.
champagne cocktail on tap out of there. We love champagne the way that it is traditionally bottled, and so we don't want to ruin that tradition of serving champagne out of a bottle and putting it into a stainless steel growler tap. I think I would also be disowned by the entire champagne community if I did so, which I'm not trying to do. So, but yeah, we serve champagne cocktails out of there. We are on the search for a Prosecco company who kegs their Prosecco.
Okay.
So that we can build a permanent tap system into the truck.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. I feel like the fact that you're willing to hack it I think says something about you as a business owner. And I feel like a lot of the business owners I talk with across the U.S., they have these ideas. And I think a lot of times if they don't have exactly every tool available to them, they can sometimes give up on that. And I think
Yeah.
the fact that you aren't able to have that specific truck, but you're like, let's test the market, let's try
Yeah.
this, let's improvise, I think really says for the sustainability of your business.
So one of the biggest inspirations as far as business development goes for me is I think it was the guys who started a crowdfunding website. Have you heard the podcast of How I Built It?
Yes.
Okay, so the guy who started the crowdfunding, I think it was GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
When he started GoFundMe, some of the little sound bites that I took from that were, if there isn't a typo in your business plan, you waited too long to show it to somebody. And
That's true.
because it's like, if you are making sure that everything is perfect, then you're missing your opportunity. And also, keeping in mind that one of the other things he said was that he really built his company as fast as he could, and he knew that there was going to be competition that was up and coming, and criticism, and it was just like, you have to work within what you have. You also have to find peace that there are some things that are going to be out of your reach, but how can you be the best at what you're doing within your current circumstances that will propel you forward?
I think that's a lot of great stuff to hold on to, because I think every person deals with that self-doubt and the idea of knowing that I'm going to be criticized, or not everyone's going to love this, or I'm not putting my best foot forward in what they think at that time. I had a mentor to me once say, like, no one replaces you, and that's something that I always remember, that regardless of competition, regardless of, whatever, it's like, I have to follow my heart, and I have to use my creative brain in the way that I feel fit at that time, and therefore, like, that has value.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And another thing is, like, the wedding business, there's such saturation of vendors. There are millions of floral designers, and some of them came from the same company, and so they have similar styles, and then there's so many photographers, and choosing a photographer is so personal that there really is. I totally believe that even though the market of any sort of vendor in the wedding community is so saturated, there really is business enough to go around for everybody.
It's absolutely true.
And so
I don't know the numbers, but it's a lot of weddings.
It's a lot of weddings.
So when you had your idea and you guys were like, we're going to do this, and did you have savings that you pulled from to, like, how did you, like, express yourself to the market? Did you, especially in Austin's very saturated in wedding pros.
Right.
So you had this idea. How did you know, like, what's our first step to being known?
So I'm an event planner full time. So Champagne Supply is my side hustle.
Okay.
And I would love for it to turn into something that is full time. And
You're an event planner
I'm an
full-time.
event planner full-time, and I'm already really connected to a lot of different vendors. I'm connected to furniture rental companies.
But you mostly do corporate.
And I mostly do corporate, yes. And so I already had a lot of connections to just the planning world, as a lot of the same people that we work with also cross over majorly into the wedding industry. And I did know that this was probably going to be more of a wedding focused prop idea vendor than corporate, but I also knew that there are corporate clients that would like it, especially with the change in market of wanting your event to be Instagrammable.
Mm-hmm. And it's very Instagrammable.
We hope so. It's the goal. And so we didn't have a ton of savings. We had a little bit of savings, and so we've been definitely subscribing to that theory of fake it till you make it. Mm-hmm. This truck was not very expensive.
Everyone's faking it till they're making it. That's why I feel like
I will happily admit
just need to open.
Yes.
That's how it is.
Yes.
On all levels,
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, I'm pretty open about it that we've definitely done everything that we've been able to do has been piece by piece. Like after we got our first job that was actually paid, then we got to buy glassware. Then we got a second job that was actually paid, and then we got to spend a little bit of money on a styled shoot, and that we needed to have. But then I knew that the number one thing that was gonna really make us have a lot of visibility is those partnerships with different brands. Mm-hmm. And so I really made sure to connect. We kind of blew up from there. I think our Instagram followership grew like 175 people in 2 days. And then
I feel like just putting yourself out there and having those partnerships and making yourself available, and I feel like you never know. Yeah,
it was just everything that has happened so easily.
So let's talk about the side hustle a little bit. So with that, I know for me, and I work full-time, and I have multiple businesses, but I feel like I'm never not working. And I feel like having a full-time gig and having a side thing, do you feel like you have space to kind of unwind, or is right now your focus been, like, is this more of a hobby and a passion for you where you feel the energy and motivation to
So nothing about an event job does, especially in corporate events, because we're working with people in many different time zones. And so for a side hustle, you definitely have to have time management skills. Multitasking is a must, but it can also be dangerous to make sure that you're not emailing Andrea and then saying, "Hey, Elizabeth," which I've done. And so, like making sure that those details, so when you are multitasking and when I'm multitasking at home after work, when I'm working on champagne supply, making sure that I really am honing into the more details. My husband is also an entrepreneur, and so he works from home too. So we definitely, well, we have to make the conscious effort to close our computer, put them away, because we're just both working from home and both of us could work all night. All that to say, I think we both believe that nothing that matters happens in between a 9-to-5 job or happens within a structure. Like your relationships don't happen within a structure. Your creative process doesn't happen within a structure. And a 9-to-5 structure is very limiting. And so the fact that both myself and my husband are subscribe to that theory is helpful and supportive. And
being flexible. It's very important having a supportive spouse that gets the schedule, especially in the events industry.
Yes.
I feel like it's highly emotional. Yes. Or it has an added level of emotion. And yes, I mean, most of my vendor friends work weekends. I mean, that's part of being able to adjust the rest of your week to accommodate some of that.
Yes.
So.
Yes. I think that there are seasons for everything.
And if someone would have told you when you started the business one tip that you feel like you've had to learn the hard way, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing, the hardest learning for us was how to price the truck. We did price it too high in the beginning, and we lost some brides. I think that scaling your entrance into a new market or scaling a new idea into an existing market is a really it's a really touchy and fragile thing.
And you're doing something no one's ever done
no
before.
one's ever done, and no one's ever seen. And the fact that it doesn't actually come with alcohol, it's kind of like, oh, you are charging me $1,200 and I have to provide my own alcohol. Like, thinking back, the first time I sent that quote, I was just like, of course this is how much it's valued at, because that's how much I value it at, and I would value it at more because I'm confident in what my time is worth as well. But to have your pricing be able to be scaled up and not the other way, of like not putting yourself in a position to like scale down.
It's a lot harder to scale down than it is.
It is a lot harder. Luckily, we were in a really beginning phase of the business where we didn't have a ton of visibility, so it wasn't like on blast. But that would be my biggest.
So, as a champagne lover myself, and what is your favorite brand or label of champagne? What is your like go-to? Do you have a go-to and then like a splurge bottle that you
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. Right now, we're drinking a $10 bottle of Brut Trader Joe's.
It's not bad.
It's pretty good.
It's a good health bottle.
Yes, it really is. And then their sparkling rosé is really lovely as well. My champagne, I love the Piper champagne. It's what they serve at the Oscars, actually. And it's really, really, really delicious. It's a $50 bottle. I took this, I did some training with a sommelier who is in Austin. Her name is June Rodil. She actually owns June's restaurant. She is, I think, like the 7th master woman sommelier in the world. And I was training with her when she was in the process of taking her master's, and I will never forget that something that she said to us was that there's no, like, it doesn't matter if I tell you that it's good. It matters if you like it. So
everyone's palate is so different.
Exactly. And so I was kind of a game changer in the way that I also drink wine, drink cocktails, and eat food, because it's like so non-pretentious, and so much wine can be so pretentious of the tannins and the terroir, and those things are very important in the history of winemaking. But as far as what I love, I'm not gonna not try it. I might not like it. There's some that I don't like, and the ones that I don't like really just have too much sugar in them for me, and the headache is just not worth it, no matter how cheap it is. So, but then, yeah, I mean, this Trader Joe's bottle is something that I purchase a lot for just to have around the house, and a random Tuesday celebration. So.
And you don't feel guilty opening it?
No, no.
Well, thank you for having me again today. It's been lovely hearing about your business, and it's always great talking to other fellow women who will have moved forward with their ideas.
Thank you so much.
Wasn't my interview with her so freaking fantastic? I have loved following them. So you need to go over to their social channel, the Champagne Supply Company, which I'll put right here. Follow along as they continue to scale. They just literally bought a trailer like 2 weeks ago, and I am so excited to continue to see them franchise and grow really huge across the US. Click that little subscribe button, and if you're not already following, I've got a lot of new things in the works. I have 2 more workshops coming up for 2018, one in Annapolis, Maryland, and one in Dallas, and I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews I'm super excited about, as well as give you a little bit of behind the scenes as we wrap up 2018's workshop schedule. So stay tuned, and we will hit you next week.